see you move like that. Like what? Like that. Let me see you move like that. Just like that.
Thanks for being here today. I'm hoping that my voice holds out throughout. We've heard a lot about what gaming offers advertisers today. So Anzu has set up this panel to help us delve a bit deeper into the nitty-gritty and really understand what works and what doesn't in the world of gaming. So to start off, I'm just going to ask everyone to do some quick introductions. Ed, should I start with you?
Hi there, I'm Ed Manning. I'm Commercial Innovation Director at Dentsu. I'm also acting as Head of Investment for Dentsu Gaming, and I run an indie gaming fund out of our studio in Australia.
Hi, I'm Eric. I work for Lumen, who, as I'm sure people know, measure attention. Within that, I'm a lead attention consultant, which means that I work with people like you to make sure that it's not just a fad and that it's something that you can actually use at the end of the day.
Oh, God, that was loud. Afternoon. Michael Smith, the Senior Director of Sales of Anzu. Been here all of 12 weeks now. I look after the partnerships, strategic partnerships with all our partners. I said partners a few times there, but good evening.
Focus is on partners today. Okay, thanks everyone. So let's get straight down to business. Newzoo reports that over 3.4 billion people play games globally, and I'm sure that includes most of the people in this room. So with so many different genres, titles and platforms to play on, how do you build an effective gaming strategy? And why should gaming be part of your media plan? Ed, as you're next to me, I'll start with you.
So I think from the perspective of a media agency, really it's an audience play for us. And you hear all sorts of stats around gaming, but ultimately the one that really resonates with me is that broadly, roughly, we're looking at around, I think it's under the age of 40, around 40% of time being spent specifically on gaming, and only about 3% of media investment going in the same direction. Fundamentally, that seems wrong to me, and in my role, we're looking at everything that's going to come in the future, as well as working with our partners on attention. And when you think about platforms like Roblox, you're looking at 65 million people playing every day for an average of 2.5 hours. That's a ridiculous amount of engagement not to be leveraging it as much as we possibly can. That loops in quite nicely to our partnership with Lumen, as we think engagement and attention are intrinsically linked.
Yeah, and I'm also kind of going to give an answer based on the agency side. I used to work at Dentsu, so I'm from that perspective. But it matters in the sense that gaming is another channel. It's another option. So the answer should really be, what does gaming give you? You have to choose it over a different channel on your media plan. And why should you do that? And it's can it drive the outcomes that you want? Can it drive the attention that you want? And luckily, in all the research that we've done, the answer is yes. And you should probably consider gaming on that basis alone.
What's the difference, Eric, between viewability and viewing? Because I keep hearing that bandied around.
It does matter a lot, and the IAB have been talking about this for a long time now. As I'm sure people know, viewability being that it's in view for 50% of the pixels for 2 seconds. It's a very binary thing. It's a yes or no. It's useless if it's under it. It's not useless if it's over it. Whereas viewed percentage is how many people actually looked at the ad. It's less of a binary, and it's more of a nuance. So you have to, if you want to use view percentage or attention or attention per 1,000 impressions, which is what we use, you have to work a little harder mentally to pick the right channels, but it helps you do that, basically. And it's sort of I guess, view percentage and attention is an evolution of viewability. It's a really big topic that if anyone wants to talk to me about it, I could talk about it for ages, but I'll leave it there. Okay,
thank you. So, Michael, can you give us a bit about the how of that works?
Yeah, so we've talked, obviously, Ed and Eric have talked about the why, and the how is, how to do that is kind of the first thing is to understand the client's objectives, understand the audience they want to engage with, and from that you can build basically a correct. Oh, sorry, thank you. Thank you. As I was saying, thanks for that. Brilliant. So basically we speak to the agency, speak to our partners to ensure that we understand exactly the audience we want to engage with. From there you select the right platforms, the right games to fit that audience, and obviously you run the activity in that audience.
Perfect, thank you. There are, of course, a number of things that we have to consider when taking advertising in-game, such as choosing the right creatives and formats. Can you each talk a bit about what advertisers should be wary of, though, and if there's anything in particular they should avoid when taking their advertising in-game? Ed, again, because it's easy.
I think the do's and the don'ts, they're not so much sort of hard and fast rules as much as principles, right? I think it's important that everybody knows that gaming is not a projection media. It's always an engagement media because everybody is always engaged when playing. I think that really is the most important thing that you've got to remember, which means that you need to come to the party with something to add, I think. So it's always about seeing what your brand can do in order to add value. It doesn't have to be anything expensive, but what are you doing to enhance the gamers, the players' session in that time, or how do their brand beliefs align to whatever it is you're doing within a game, being authentic, essentially.
And I think can you hear me this time? Is that better? Perfect, thank you. I think the first thing is the creative, to make sure the creative is fit and built for in-game. A lot of pitfalls people make is they think they can kind of retrofit a creative they're using in other digital environments and just basically insert that into game. And obviously a lot of the times, because we are talking about obviously basically the attention side of the business, it's not a clickable environment. We need to make sure there's no call to action. So at Anzu, obviously we have a creative team to work with our partners to ensure that if they have got creative that aren't that fit for in-game, we can work with them to build those formats. So that's one of the big pitfalls, I think.
Yeah, you always want to make sure that everything looks like it should be there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And again, I think it's the pitfall is trying to basically it's not a one size fits all when it comes to gaming. You can't. Sorry, back again. You can't just basically choose in-game as a widespread. You need to make sure it's contextually relevant for the audience, for it's contextually relevant for basically the demographic, but also contextually relevant for the game. You know, because it can stick out like a sore thumb if you're putting, I don't know, maybe a Pampers advert in Dakar Rally. It kind of doesn't fit with the audience demographic that plays Dakar Rally.
We can't assume those things.
No, it really doesn't. But that's some of the pitfalls I think we face.
Okay, perfect. So from what you've said, choosing the right platform is also a big consideration. Michael, I'll come back to you. Can you explain why, for instance, a brand might choose to run a campaign in The Sims on mobile rather than, as you've mentioned it already, Dakar Desert Rally on PC?
Yeah, because they have completely different audiences. You know, if you look at Dakar Rally as an example, you know, it's going to skew heavily to the young male audience. So you kind of, you're not going to put a sort of a game there. And also it's very lean, very intense, it's very fast paced. It's just ongoing. Whereas something like The Sims is more of a lean back, casual game. And so you're gonna have a different kind of user experience. So maybe the brands want to basically engage with that user in that way.
Okay, that's perfect, thank you. Eric, I'm going to come to you. You've been quiet for too long. As Lumen's work stretches across every digital platform, can you tell us why we see such high attention rates in gaming specifically, and why it's so important to measure them?
Yeah, sure. I think I'll probably start with the second point first, which is that attention matters as a vehicle. In itself, it is meaningless. It matters because what you really want is outcomes. And what I've found, both in my time at agency and, of course, at Lumen, is that attention is the closest measurable thing that we can get to outcomes. We've got a lot of research on that, so if you ever want any of that, we're happy to send it. Yeah, with... Sorry, let me
I
start
think
again.
within the report it was talking
Yeah.
about 98% viewability and how that tracks into things.
Yeah, I mean, the report, I won't go into the specific numbers of the report, but what we have found in this report, which is very good and will be coming out soon, we sort of see these things that we call them shapes of attention, which is that different kinds of formats, different kinds of platforms, different kinds of channels give you a different style of attention. The obvious examples are, you have cinema, the proper lean back here versus the say, TikTok, flick right through. And what we find is that gaming fits more in that first camp, even though it's, you wouldn't normally put it somewhere with cinema, but your audience is with the ad for a long time. In a lot of cases, they're choosing to engage with the ad, be it rewarded content, and it just builds over time, and you get really strong results, which, as I say, is really what matters.
Okay, perfect. Ed, there was a partnership with Lumen, wasn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been working with Lumen for an awful long time now, and we've got such a deep data set with them that we are now starting to measure things like effective attention, where you can predict recall and memory and things like that.
Yeah, that partnership is something that I'm personally very excited about, especially because I used to work on, I was Lumen's client when I was at the dentsu side. What you can do with this, it's almost understated saying that we know that the effect of the attention. It's integrated into the media planning tools, it's integrated into the activation, so you can actually buy and measure attention. You can build, custom PMPs where you, instead of just buying attention, you're actually buying expected recall, expected choice, and all these things. Obviously, we work with every agency in some capacity, but dentsu have been doing this for 5 years, 6 years, and have built a massive data set, not just online, offline as well, TV, cinema, out of home, and so on. And the partnership is continuing. We've got more gaming work coming out with dentsu, where we're, again, going to be able to activate within games, so you can buy attention within gaming environments.
Absolutely, and the bit that I'm particularly excited about within that is being able to effectively map out the future success of gaming as an advertising medium by continuing to work with the likes of Lumen in showing how much more attentive these media formats are, and like I said at the beginning, how much more advertising budget should be devoted to it.
Out of interest, how much more advertising budget should be devoted to it?
Well, I think it should go up to parity with time spent, really. I mentioned earlier that it's roughly 40% with under 40s. It doesn't decrease hugely after that. The problem with the percentage is that ultimately we're talking about something that is a media channel in and of itself, but it's also within every other media channel. So calculating that percentage over time might end up being difficult, but it should certainly be a lot higher than it is.
Yeah, it's just, I don't have time to go into it now as much as I'd love to, but one of the things that is really crucial in all this is the cost of attention across these different channels. Once you overlay CPMs and all of that, you get a much better picture of, is it worth spending? Maybe it costs a little extra to be in these games, but we can show you that it's worth it. And again, I'd love to go more into that, but we probably don't have time.
Thank you. Okay, so after hearing all of the amazing things that you've said about in gaming, I'm sure there are lots of people here today who want to understand how easy it is to launch an in-game campaign. So, Michael, we'll come back to you. Can you tell us how people who haven't already entered the gaming space can get started, where they can go, and how they can find out more?
Yeah, and to be fair, I was going to interrupt, but you guys were doing my sales pitch for
Sorry.
me. Really. No, it's brilliant. It's the fact that lots of people use it. Agencies are saying they should be spending more money in-game, so thanks. And we've got the value of it. But, you know, it's never been as easy as it is today to have access to working in-game. First of all, obviously, we've got a great team at Anzu to work with you and support you on a managed service side of things, but equally, you know, we've been working tirelessly hard with all the major trading platforms so you can access our inventory via either PMP through created IDs or just in the open market through programmatic means.
And are we seeing more companies or brands that you might not expect to be in gaming? Are we seeing them start to encroach into the space? I know I've gone off script, but I'm just interested.
Well, this is kind of to Ed's point, you know, it's not just the 18, 24-year-old boys sitting in a basement playing games. It's over 75% of people play games, although they don't necessarily class themselves as a gamer.
I think that's key, yeah.
You know, my wife doesn't class herself as a gamer, but she's addicted to Candy Crush. So she absolutely is. You know, I play that game and others and on console as well. And that's the thing is, it's not just about one device. You know, people game across multiple devices, and the broad demographic actually play games in some way, shape, or form. So, yes, one week we're having a conversation with a sports brand to target male 1834, for example, but the following week we're targeting first shoppers, and it's because they're there. They're playing games across mobile, PC, and console.
There's some really interesting insights around actually the types of brands that are getting involved at the minute. Obviously, in the past you've had all of the endemic brands are obviously already there, and then you've got a load of first starters and you know brands that are really actually quite entrenched. P&G have been doing well. Kellogg's have been fantastic. But excited to see what the future holds.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, so we've covered a lot in the last couple of minutes, but we did say we were going to cover 3 key areas. Getting your in-game strategy right, effective use of targeting and maximising reach, and the impact creative can have on capturing attention. So I think we'll go down the line, and if each of you can choose one of those and give me your key takeaway from it, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from a strategic perspective, really it's about not being careful, but being mindful whenever you want to step into the gaming space. Again, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a projection media. What it really is a feedback loop between an advertiser, a publisher, and whoever's playing. So you're going to get on the fly, sometimes emotional reactions to whatever it is what you're doing. So I think coming to it openly and honestly, and working out what you can do in that space and how you can be relevant is really the most important thing.
Thank you. Eric?
Yeah, I'll cover the creative part because we talk about the report. It sounds very abstract. Oh, we did a report, an attention report. What it means is we show ads in games to people and track their eyes to look at the level of attention. So we have exposed people to a lot of different ads. There's no real surprise here that the right channel can really supercharge the right ads to do really, really well. People pay attention, people remember them, and so on. It's not going to save the bad ads. Kind of goes back to what you were saying, which is, you have to make things for the right format in order to get attention. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution at all.
And for me, it's basically it's the audience and reach, and more importantly, it's the verified audience and reach that we again work tirelessly with the likes of IAS and Moat to ensure that all of our inventory is verified. And now today, in-game is on parity with other digital options out there.
Thank you. Perfect. And so with that, we are pretty much out of time. So thank you very much to the panel for sharing your thoughts and to everyone for being here today. I'm not even being paid to say this, but don't forget to try out Anzu's gaming rig if you haven't already. The fastest lap wins a Nintendo Switch, And of course, Michael and the rest of the Anzu team will be there as well, so you can catch up there. But thank you very much.